So good day to all. Welcome to this third class of a series of 4 on meditation that is presented by Acala Aruna Raja. Welcome, Acala Aruna Raja, and how are you today?
Hey, I'm doing great. It's a great snowy morning in Quebec City. Everything is great. I mean, good.
Awesome.
And you, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. It's not snowing here though.
Ah.
We have the flower buds coming out, it seems. It's like spring weather. So we've come to this third class, Achala. We started off with the first class, which was the Sleight of Mind. Then you discussed the limits of our perceptions during meditation. And today we're here to speak about the support system, how to recognize a good one.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts on this topic today. And before we start, I just wish to remind everyone that all of your classes are available in the Shakti YouTube channel and for free. So without further ado, I would let you present your topic, Achala.
Thank you, Ram, and thank you also for this opportunity to discuss and give these sessions. So I'm going to share my screen just here. Boom, boom, boom. All right. So today it's gonna be a short one, but it's going to be loaded with lots of good stuff because we're going to talk what to keep in mind to have a good spiritual support system. What's a good support system in general? Well, a good support system is something that can provide you a way to have a realistic and open feedback. You can talk with people, you can exchange your point of views, and they can tell you what they think about what you're bringing forth. What we want to look for in a good support system is to have people that have a positive influence on each other through their behaviors, but also their morals and attitudes. Usually, these kind of people that we will call friends, they take the opportunity to have some impromptu check-in just to see how each other is doing, see that they care. They don't need to have a reason to look on each other. They just think about each other and they look for the well-being of the others. And they can also provide healthy distraction because they're there for you. They know that sometimes you just need to have a change of air to do something else. And so they can provide you with that. So that's what you look for in a good support system in general. And that's what you need to look for in spirituality support system also. But what is the basis of a good support system? Well, a good support system is having trust. And trust is a really important thing because although there is no physical component to trust, you can think of it as a currency and a way to exchange with people. So trust is built over time. It has a compounding effect. It's built over good and bad times through sticking together. But also trust, it erodes depending on what you do with other people. So when you get some feedback, and usually a harsh one, it will, even if you meant it the goodest of ways, if you're full of good intent, trust will erode a person's confidence in you. So trust is a currency also. And when you give support, you give compliments, trust is brought back, it's bring back forth, it builds up. So when you think about having a good support system, you want to have a foundation of trust, being able to talk to each other, and just keep that in mind. When you got people around you, you want to have trust, and you want to think carefully how you're going to treat other people, because trust builds over time, or it loses its value over time. So you got to think carefully how you treat other people, how you receive, how you react, how you're present, how time affect the building of trust, how the time you put in compounds the value of trust as the person, what you bring forward to the table to build that trust. When you want to build that trust, it's not always about putting resources as money, but it also as time, which is another great resources to build trust and healthy relationships. So to build trust as a foundation, you can look for signs I consider good qualities of communication. Well, good communicators, they are active listeners. They ask questions through some person discussing. It's not just the letting go monologue. People are talking to them, and to keep their interests to keep themselves interested, to make the speaker feel like being valued, they ask questions. They also give real-time feedback, but not giving feedback all the time. They also just check if the feedback is sought after. They don't give a feedback that's a person does not want. They want me to give you my opinion on this, or are you into something else at the moment, working on something else? So they give real-time feedback, but it must be sought. They respect the privacy, they respect the progress, they respect the other person as a free being. Also, they take some time to validate their own thought before passing judgment, because there's a lot of circumstances that's in every situation. So before they tell something, they just make sure that they correctly understand what's going on with the person, with their environment, with their ecosystem, with their family. What are the key components? What are key elements in this situation? And personally, I like people that are more autonomous, to give their point, to be there to other people, because the more you got to lose with someone, the less you can be free. So when you're so tied into another person that your well-being, moral or material depends on them, you got less autonomy to being honest, to fear change, and to fear losing something. So you're more tight. You got a game, you got an agenda, you got to be careful. So you're not in a situation to give your honest opinion. And also, because you have so much value tied in that you could lose, you're going to play safe. And that's okay, because that's what humans we do. When we value our security, we value our comfort, we value stability, we value status quo, because our system is made to protect us. It's looking for these qualities in situation to keep us safe. So when you're tied to a situation, you're less autonomous, you tend to be more prudent, be more careful, and not speak honestly what you all think about. So when you want to build trust as a foundation, you want to have people that they don't have that much of an agenda with you. So they can be really honest. because their opinion is not going to cause them a loss. Suppose that you don't like it. A big question asked a lot: should my partner be my confidant in spirituality specifically? Well, as my opinion, I would say, nah, I don't think so. And because when you are in a relationship, particularly, well, love, that's based on trust, that's based on love, that's based on attachment. And beyond all that, the basis of all these attachment and trust is security. And spirituality is not about security. It's about growth. It's about change. And change, well, and security, they don't go very well to each other. So when you talk to a partner about what you're feeling and you're changing, you're growing, they can feel threatened. And when they feel threatened, it will be difficult for them to not want you to get back in that place of that person that they knew, but instead they will fear the person that you will become. So there's a place and time for everything. And that place and time for everything is your partner should be your partner. That should be a person that you bring your project with. That should be a person that you have some growth with, as an emotional growth, but in spirituality, which is something you do for yourself. Also, I know it impacts all aspects of your life, but still, spirituality is something that you do for yourself to build as a resources, to look for the meaning of life, to build the basis of your security, to have some comfort based on something that's not really measurable, but still that you can feel as faith that's there for you. Well, that can cause your partner to feel unsure, to feel that although they want to vouch for you, they want to promote and congratulate your progress, they can also fear it. And so if you can keep them separate, have your partner being your partner with everything that comes with it, that you can focus on, that you can be there so they can feel your need and you can feed their needs. But spirituality is on a whole another level, and so if you can keep them separate, you should. So you can experiment, explore, see what you like, engage with other people and discuss these topics that are so very close to you, but it should be your secret garden. And also, it's really spirituality is based on systems that are very close to us, and it involves also all our shadow parts of us. And you want to keep some things for yourself in relationship, not always to open all your closet, bring all your skeletons out and throw it, and so for all people to see. You can have some space that's for you, that's promote to you. And that's why I consider that your friends are people that you have confidence in. They can be better promoter of your spirituality progress. They can understand where you're coming from, where you're going. They won't feel threatened by change because their relationship is on a completely different level, because it's not based on their need. It's based on what the progress you have, what you bring to each other, what you're going, what you're building together as friendship, as trust, progress and truth, instead of needs, having an environment together that you can build material resources for your families, and if you have children, if you have pets, and house and everything, so they won't feel threatened, and therefore they can be better supporter of your progress. But if you want to do that, if you want to bring your partner in to give you some feedback on spirituality, you can. But my 2 cents is, well, if you do that, make sure that your partner is someone that's managing very well their fear, so they can give you advice and opinion that understand everything in this perspective that you can feel. And if they're that kind of person that can gives you an unbiased, more detached approach, they probably feel detached in the relationship. They probably feel like they're there for you. They can be there for you, but they also feel they have very strong presence just for them, and they can easily live without you. So if you're that kind of relationship with a partner where you feel them as detached, you're probably able to manage very well their fear and give you an advice, and you can discuss just spiritually with them. But if that someone is very fearful that you're leaving, that they have a lot of attachment, they have sometimes trust issues and insecurity, it's better not to discuss spirituality with them, because it will take a toll on your relationship. And also, I want to talk about the plate dharma, because I coined that term. A plate is something that you can drop and it will break. And sometimes you can glue it back together. You take that plate, you glue it back, but you cannot always glue it back. Sometimes it will be chipped. Sometimes it will be broke forever. You cannot put it back together. They're missing a piece, something, and it's done. You put it to the trash, it's broken. But sometimes that plate, you can put it back together, glue it, and it will hold. But even so, it will always be chipped. So when you got an opportunity, check, think, feel before you speak, before you do something, before you take a rash decision, before all of that. Because that plate can not always be glued back together. So you want to think carefully before doing something that could break, before going all in and destroying, because when it collapses, it's not always be coming back. So you got to pause, pray, ponder. That's the plate dharma. Be careful. Not all broken things can be put it back together. So, and another key point is that in spirituality, we have so much tools. We're going to meet people with that we consider they have patience, they have grace, they have wisdom, they are their tools, spiritual powers that we can attribute to them, but still, you don't want to cause them pain, because you don't know which pain is going to break them or break the relationship for a long time. So when you deal with these people in spirituality, even if they say that they got these powers, even if they say they got these tools, even if they say they got everything that they think they got, be careful. Maybe sometimes hold back. Don't go all in. Don't go stick a pin straight in their pain point. Don't make that joke. don't push too much. Treat them as human beings because that's what they are. They are spiritual seekers. They got tools. They got wisdom. They say, hey, I can take it. That doesn't mean that if you think they can take it, that you should go all in. Let them some breathing room. Be careful. Not all things broken can be fixed. And when it's fixed, it's okay, but it's still chipped. But when sometimes it's broken for the rest of your life. So when you're discussing with other people, just remember that having the same system is important. And the reason I say that is because we all come from a different place, but right when you're in spirituality, what you're talking about is some things that they don't have a material basis, so you cannot perceive with your senses what is going on. Most of us Westerners, either we're animists and we don't know it, but usually it's Westerners that are animists, or we come from a Neoplatonistic point of view in spirituality. And most people don't know that, but what it comes with is a hierarchy. It's a stage put back together, one on top of the other. So when a person that thinks about things like an ecosystem of spirit, like an animist, discuss with a Neoplatonist who think as layered, with a structure, with a top and a bottom that cascade from the top to the bottom, they're not going to get each other. Because one thinking about that point is more important than this one, and then it leads to this one. And the other is like all points are important and they coexist together. So when you discuss spirituality with people, you need to have the same system, or just address it before you discuss that. And that's why it's so important that to find a group that you belong, because when you talk with people in a group, as time goes by, you implant the same system together without even saying it, without even talking about it. Some people in this group will be part of what we call the Madhurya, which is a Buddhist tradition. And so when people from the Buddhist tradition Madhurya, they get together, as time goes by, their thinking aligns. And when they discuss things, they get what the other are talking about. That's what they get. And they don't have to say it, but they understand it. And it becomes implicit in the relationship. So because they like the same thing, it creates that same system with the same mythology, with the same premise. And because of that, when they discuss, they got the same point of view and they can understand one or the other how they discuss. I put a rainbow there because when we're talking about something that is immaterial, we don't have a basis to support. We don't have senses to support what we're talking about. If I show to you a rainbow, you can see it, you know what I'm talking about. There's a rainbow. I say, hey, this is a rainbow. You say, yeah, I see it, no problem. But when we talk about spirituality, about the soul, what we talk about is completely immaterial. And because of that, you got to elaborate every point. So suppose that you got this rainbow here, and it is a shard of 7 colors. But suppose that you don't have a visual component to support what you're talking about. And this would be the soul. But suppose you talk with someone of that topic, but instead of splitting that rainbow in 7 parts, they would split it in 3. So you have a system that is more precise, and you will talk to them about the color orange. But for them, there's no orange. Because the way they split the system of the soul, like that's the higher, that's the conscious, that's the lower soul, they would not see orange. Orange would be part of that something else. That's a buildup of yellow, of red, of orange, and of green. So it will be like this completely different thing. So you try to discuss a point that for you is much more precise, and for them it's like more encompassing. So you try to explain to them what you feel about them on this topic, and they cannot comprehend because the way they're coming from, for them it's a much more broader perspective, less precise, but the way that they feel and perceive it's a different color totally. So when you talk with them, they don't get it. So when you meet new people, you meet people from different perspectives, make sure you understand what their system is. But if you don't have the same system, and if they haven't been as long with you in your system, you won't coming from the same point of view. You will get so much trouble just communicating points, because exploration of the soul that has no sensual basis to communicate based on sight, hearing, touch, smell, taste, you cannot convey that. You need to use words, and words are based on system and mythologies, on beliefs. So when you find a good group of a good system, a good people which interact, make sure you're involved in their culture and they're involved in yours, so you can understand where everyone is coming from. And that's a good way to build a great system. Find a group that has a system that they can convey and that you can relate to. And then when you find that group, you can use that system to understand where they're coming from. And they can understand where you're coming from when you discuss. And in that group, just some key points to note here. Well, what you can do, just tricks of the trade here. Look for people who's introverted. They like to reflect, they like to think, they like to ponder before discussing. So you want to build a great support group in spirituality, got to make friends, you want all this, find a group with a system. Go to their events, look at the people. Don't go for a person that talks too much, probably looks as an extroverted. Look for the second one person next to that speaker who's listening, that's probably an introverted. Look if they got their values together. Look if they listen, if they give feedback, if they validate their thought. And you can build a great group of persons to support you in your progression in spirituality. And that way you can talk to them, they can understand you, you can give them some feedback, and as time you can build your trust. So find people with good qualities, have a common system together, and make sure the intention towards each other are great, and you can build a great support group with these people. And if you got a partner, make sure that you understand where everyone is coming from. And about systems, you got to think about the tree of life and the Kabbalah. I bring up with these stories because systems, we think of them as structures, but structures, we think of them as some things that will never erode as life and time goes by, but it's not the truth. Systems, they do evolve. They evolve very less rapidly, they evolve very slowly, but they still do. And what you got to keep in mind is, here's a little story. This is the tree of life of the Kabbalah. We know it because mostly of this picture. That's the representation that we got not from the Kabbalists, but from the Hermetists of the Golden Dawn. The MacGregor Matter Group, Aleister Crowley, Darren Fortune, and the like. When they got together, they were so avid seekers that they put up this picture based on what they thought about the Kabbalah. But what they put together is not what they receive as knowledge from the Kabbalists, but what they read from what they could scrounge up together from the Kabbalah. And what it caused is that never a Kabbalist taught them about the tree of life. The tree of life that they received was just what they thought it was from their understanding. But Kabbalists, because they keep their secrecy, and also because Kabbalah is based on their Jewish law, they didn't think it would be a great way to teach it to Westerners or people not that are Jews, because it's intrinsically based on their way of life, on their way of thinking, on their culture. So they didn't teach it to others. And because of that, we got that representation of the tree of life. And it omits a lot of things. And particularly what it omits is that the tree of life, this representation that we see as static, is not. For Kabbalists, the tree of life is moving. Each of these sephirot that you see together are moving around, exchanging space, and they are also growing in importance and also being less important depending on the individual. So in their conception of the world, the Kabbalists, they know that their system that they have is merely a representation of something. But their system is very fluid, and because it is very fluid, they need to adapt it in real time. But that's their viewpoint of the system. What we had received from the Golden Dawn is a system that is fixed, that is static, that is stoic. That system is what we got. So when you have a system, also think back about the tree of life, that every system is evolving as you are. And that system needs to be changed and updated in real time as you move forward. And that leaves you with very less stable ground to stand upon. I understand that. But still, when you're in dominant spirituality, even your system are evolving as you do. And remember back to that story of the tree of life, that every sphere in your life is changing size, gaining or losing importance as they go, and moving in importance around you. Don't try to make a system that will be yours for the rest of your life. Don't make a system get over the creator of that system. That would be, in that case, you. That system that you built is a tool, but the tool should not take over your will. Remember, that's the tree of life story for you. You got to think back that if you build your own system, you can change it anytime. And you're going to interact with people with a different system, you can change it, you can evolve it. You just need to understand that the system you're talking about, if you evolve and change with it, make sure that the person you communicate with, they understand that as well. It's really important, because a system are the structure that we base our communication upon, because they're a reflection of our beliefs. So when you have a good spirituality system, you're dealing with people that are evolving, and because they are evolving, they also have a system that is going to evolve with them. And sometimes you need to check back together how it has evolved, what changed their system, what changed their thinking. Because on the next class, we're going to talk about metaphysics. And metaphysics, when people are evolving, their metaphysics of the world will change with times. If you talk with people doing spirituality that evolved a lot, probably that their metaphysics has changed 2 or 3 times in their lives. They didn't stick with one way of thinking over their life. Probably they started being animists, then they changed to being realistic and practical, and then at that point they changed and they were more believing in their beliefs. That's an example, but still, metaphysics change, systems evolve, people they progress, their moral change. So when you want to have a group to build and evolve and progress with you, don't be too attached to the group. Don't be too attached to a system. Make it evolve with you. It has to. And next, so just before we go on, look for people that have great qualities of communication. They are able to introspect, validate, talk, observe, share, have a good intent. That's really important. You want to have people that don't have too much skin in the game with you. You're in a place where you progress in spirituality with this person, and that should be what you're doing with them. They're your friends and they evolve in spirituality with you. Maybe they're not your friends to go partying. Have some distance between that. You want to have people that have a system, a belief, a premise, a metaphysics of the world that you can share. So when you discuss, you can talk, and together you can understand each other. You can go further. You want to have these people, and that's going to help you. And if everyone is on the same page with these 3 things, you can build a great relationship with that people. You can go further and have some quality time, quality discussion, philosophy, so you can have person you can rely on as you're going in spirituality and exploring the immaterial side of life, that you need someone to keep you from falling into madness or delusion. And that's what you need when you're doing spirituality. So just a little summary of what we discussed today. So on the next course, we're going to talk about what happens when you evolve, cycles of evolution of what happens with revelation or depression, how to deal with it, how you will feel it, how it will manifest, how long will it stay or not, what to expect when you're doing all that stuff when you're evolving. And that's what we will talk about on the next course. So I hope I could bring you some practical tools today, just to understand what are the signs of a good support system, how to find it, how to cultivate it, what to look for in an individual. And that's it for me. Hope that was interesting.
It was, for me, it was, oh, sorry, Suki.
No, go ahead.
for me, it was super interesting. There are a couple of things that I wish to address if you have time, Acala.
Yeah, I do.
So the first one is the partnership. When you're with a partner to discuss or not the question of spirituality. And I was wondering, because I don't know if you said it, because I was on listening, because I was thinking about my question. So wouldn't also the partner, it has to be clear. I think that there's some way, somehow, it has to be clear. You have to know your partner. And like you said, the trust, because at a certain point, the partner also is threatened by the support group. So unless, if I confide, if you're in my support group and I confide in you, the partner could be threatened by you. You could be without being, any romance or whatnot. They're just threatened. They don't understand that. So if you don't have a partner that's going through a system, I'm not going to say spirituality or whatnot, a system, or if you have a partner that has that it does not believe, and so, and you're right by saying, oh, they're gonna be threatened by the way you change, but they also can be threatened by the group that you confide in.
Yeah,
I think
yes, it does, because humans, we value importance as intimacy, and by intimacy I mean only sexual, but intimacy as proximity with other people, secrecy, sharing secret, connection. And when you have people that's part of your support group in spirituality, you're going to build connection, you're going to have intimacy with them. And that's true, that can be threatening for partners, because they feel that their partner has intimacy with another person. And well, I think that the best way is to discuss it with them and maybe put some boundaries, understand where they're coming from, and just avoiding the play dharma, because they have some tools or ways to managing their fears, should not put forward on them to keep all the burden on themselves. They're going to have insecurities, and it should be dealt with. It should be expressed also with this support group to see how it could be lessened, because you want to have a great partnership. You want to be in a loving relationship with someone, and they will feel threatened, but there are ways, if it's properly expressed back and forth, to alleviate some of this so they can feel safe. And that should be said. And that's the point that you can have. That's a great point that you bring, that as your support group should also be respectful of your partnership. Because if they don't, that's not great. They don't are intent on your well-being. They're intent on what they can get from the relationship. But your support group if they're there for you, they will support your relationship also, respect your partner, and take care of them also. So I think communication is really key here. Again, difficult this conversation, but still very, very important one to have.
Yeah. There's also another comment, if you.
Yes, please.
The aspect of having the same system, I find it so also very, very important that it is to have the same system so that we could speak the same words or understand the same words until you reach a point where all the systems are the same.
Yeah.
And so because it's the same message, basically, like getting there is another way. And with all due respect, it's just, I remember when I started with either with Shakti or with Mahajriya, I remember when I started, it was a question of, oh, this is the best, you know. And then I had another friend that's with heartfulness, and at a point you're like, whoa, this is really cool. You know, also, but everything, and we were discussing stuff, I was naming things and she didn't understand, but thank God that was my best friend, because we understood each other at the end. But can you imagine not having that maturity and, like you said, breaking plates everywhere because you think that your system is the best, you know? Yeah. So at a certain point, you reach that. And I just want to end with what you said, and I hope I'm citing you well, when you said, you know, your system is a tool and it should not, I don't know if it's obstruct your will. And this is very important. So, and people should know this, you know. I let it obstruct my will, to be honest, but people should know this.
Well, that's a thing that you learn with time because you broke a lot of plates. But exactly. Everyone here that's going to listen to this course, just listen right now, okay? You are going to mess it up. And we are going to tell you to avoid this pitfall, but still you're going to do this, and you're going to learn from it. And no matter how many times we tell you to avoid this pitfall, you still will fall in it. And that's how you're going to learn from it. There's no avoiding it. You're going to do that mistake. At one point, your system will become your master, and you will suffer from it. You will learn from it, and you will remember what we said today. You said, they said it, I should avoid it. No, you could not avoid it. It was meant to happen. That's part of growth. We humans grow from experience. So, yeah.
Thank you, Acala. Super class. Thank you.
If I may build on this conversation,
Please do.
The concept of the broken plate and your system, Maha points out that the mantras and practices are the map. Don't get caught up in the map. It's pointing you to your destination, but it isn't your destination. So the second half of that is the concept of the broken plate. There are no mistakes, only learning opportunities. So we might break a plate and we can put it back together again, and we work with the concept of wabi-sabi, which is something is stronger or better after having been broken and put back together. That can be ourselves as well.
Yep.
Or you can look at the fact that it can't be put back together, and you have to honor the reality that it can't be fixed according to your wish, and it requires you to have acceptance. So it's a beautiful example that your lessons have offered for people to see these connections. And it's delightful. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I know that one of your topic is we talk about a lot physics and quantum physics and stuff like that, Suki. But I'm going to talk about physics and probability here. But the point of the plate dharma comes from another theory that talks about, I'll be quick with that, but just because that's something that we love to talk about.
Understand.
In a complex system, there are key elements that all elements are connected together, even if they don't feel connected together. So in a complex system, be it the universe, your body, or anything like that, as time goes by, entropy, what we think as chaos or randomness, grows up until it reaches a certain level. And when it reaches that certain level, that's the breaking point. Your entropy from anywhere in that complex system, they can be a source of an event that will cause the collapse of the complex system. So if you think as the body, and that would be fat, so you build a certain level, that's your entropy raising, then at some point, you suffer an injury, maybe to your end, and that cause a clot, and that clot cause a heart attack. There doesn't seem to be any link together, but still it happens. And when complex systems, they collapse, sometimes they can be brought back, or sometimes that collapse will be destruction. And that's really interesting. I read that from a book in finance, but that's how in complex system things work together and they connect together. When entropy raises to a certain level, it will reach a point where there's collapse. But what we can learn from this is, one, entropy will always rise and there will always be collapse.
Yeah.
And when there's collapse, either you can fix it or you cannot. But what is the answer? Do you know if you can fix it or not? The answer is you don't know, and you never will. It will happen, deal with it. You will break some plate, deal with it.
That's part of this whole process, is to learn how to deal with the broken plate.
Yes, exactly. Because you cannot avoid it. It's unavoidable.
Yeah. No, perfect wisdom. Thank you.
You're welcome. So
Thank
was
you,
it?
Acala.
Hope it wasn't that bad. Sorry, I have my own trust issues as conveying complex stuff and observation people, and so I deal with my own stuff.
Listen, I'll be sending you the videos.
Yes, which I will listen to my I'll share horror. The utmost terror, like, I should have said that. No, it doesn't sound good.
Well, from this observer, you've done a great job on all three of the videos, so don't be too hard on yourself.
Thank you very much.
This one also.
Thank you.
I'm very looking forward to our next class on December 3rd, same time. And so I just, before you leave, I just wish to remind everybody that all your classes are on the Shakti Mind YouTube channel. And so you can't miss it. And you can repeat it anytime you wish.
Replay it.
Replay it, exactly. So
I want to also offer that I wanted to also mention that the PowerPoint will also be available on the YouTube link.
True. Thank you. That's okay. Thank you. So looking forward to seeing you again in 2 weeks, Acala.
Thank you very much, and thank you all for your comments, observation, and what we discussed afterwards. It was very interesting.
Yes, perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, dear. Have a great day.
Great day.
Thanks.